So, hello everyone and welcome back to another video. And today we have something that's, from what I can tell, is pretty rare before us. This is another GTX 580 reference, and this is a green PCB. So, this is another GTX 580 that I picked up as broken to maybe turn it into an e-power, but just like the Zotac card, this ended up working again after I put it under the heat gun, which is nice because now I have two reference cards that I can SLI, and it's not going to be like if I SLI a reference card with the lightning is just gonna pull ahead so fast that well, I'd have a lot more fun just overclocking the lightning by itself and not having it held back by a reference card. But now I have two reference cards that I can SLI together, and also both of them are based on Hynix memory. This is the second Hynix card that I have for Fermi, so the other one being the other reference card. And that kind of tells me maybe the reason why I was seeing so many Samsung cards was because mostly I had custom PCBs. And these two reference cards that I had, pretty much the only other reference card I have for Fermi is the 460. That was Samsung, but like maybe that's not the norm. Maybe a lot of the reference cards came with Hynix, and then later when custom PCBs became available, Samsung became more common because maybe Hynix had some deal with Nvidia that the reference PCBs were using Hynix memory, and then all the Hynix memory was used up by the reference production, and the custom PCBs ended up with Samsung. Just a theory though, it might be totally just random chance that both of my reference cards came with Hynix. And yeah, so this is a reference GTX 580 from, yeah, this is just literally just a reference GTX 580, but it's green. And sorry, yeah, so like we've seen this layout before. We've seen not exactly this VRAM before, because I had a suspicion. When I looked at the Zotac card, I saw that the MOSFETs were MDU 2654s and MDU 2656s. And I saw those same MOSFETs on the other Zotac card, the 460 I had, and all the other reference or close to reference cards that I had. Now I remember I also had a 470 reference that was Samsung as well. Yeah, the reference cards like the 470 and my 480 were using on semiconductor 4921 and 4935N MOSFETs, if I remember correctly. And I was kind of surprised to see there's no public datasheet, but I found someone who has the datasheet apparently, and they told me what current the MDU FETs are rated for, and they are just straight up worse. Why I thought, okay, I found them on a 460, and like 460 is not a 580. But when I saw them on the Zotac 580, I thought, okay, maybe Zotac is just using these MDU FETs instead of the on-semi ones, because Zotac used MDU chips, like from Magna Chip is the manufacturer, I think. Zotac used that brand of MOSFETs a lot. So I was suspecting maybe the reference 580 I have from them is reference apart from the MOSFETs that they are using. And now this, which is, you can be 100% certain that this is a reference PCB, because if they make the PCB green, they are trying to save every last cent on this card. So they are not going to spend any money to customize this PCB. And this one is, as I would expect, using 4921N and 4935N MOSFETs. So Zotac actually swapped the MOSFETs for their 580, which I think I haven't specifically looked at the data sheets, but from what I remember, the MDU ones are worse than these. So technically Zotac downgraded their card, even though they put some better capacitors on here, because the yellow package, from what I know, means that these are rated for a lot more endurance than the standard black ones are. and they put the money in to make a matte black PCB, but for some reason they wanted to save some money on the MOSFETs, which there's like the only reason to use different ones from reference on a reference card is to save money, I would think. So yeah, this VRM is completely identical to the GTX 480, same MOSFETs, same phase count, same CLHA 8266, or was it? Yeah, 8266 controller. And yeah, so like this is basically one-to-one the 480 reference PCB, apart from the fact that the holes are missing here. The 480 has 2 holes here, and well, where the holes are, there are some things in this area shifted around from the layout because the holes are no longer here. But apart from that, this is pretty much that PCB. And yeah, so this particular card is from a manufacturer called Point of View, which I don't know if they are around still, but I've seen 600 series cards from them, and I think 700 series too. And yeah, so this is the shroud. Custom sticker on it, custom sticker on the fan, but it's just a reference shroud, even using the same thermal pads we saw on the reference NVIDIA 480, which are, as you can see, very heavily degraded because those MOSFETs do not age well. I had to replace this one because the VRM thermal pads were they were basically dust. And yeah, so I picked up this card also as broken. I think it was a safe mode only or like artifacting card, I don't remember. So like the Zotac 580. And I put this under the heat gun, and yeah, it started working again. And when I tested it, it was just straight up, it was not even artifacting. In my test bench, it was just straight up not getting detected. And after the heat gun, they started working perfectly fine again. And it started to outperform my Zotac 580, which is modded. I made a video about the 580, how I modded it, the Zotac one. Yeah, this one outperforms the modded 580 with, like, there are no mods on here. This is stock. This one has a really good core in it, and the memory is slightly better than the Zotac memory. And all that without mods. Well, that's the Silicon Lottery. And what could be more ironic than to have your best card be a green PCB card? Like, something about this. Like, the first time I saw a card like this was from Science Studio, by now rebranded as Greg Salazar, I think. He made a video about a GTX 1070 that he pulled from a Alienware pre-build, I think. And that one was also like a really cheap blower with a reference 1070 PCB, but not like the one that you would get from NVIDIA. It was not black, it was green. And that was like a really strange sight to see a high-end card that is usually like an enthusiast product with a green PCB. And Alienware still uses these cards. There are green 2080s and even green 2080 Ti's. So like when Linus Tech Tips recently reviewed these Alienware's Rare card, they had a green PCB 2080 Super, in fact, attached to it. And Timmy Joe PC Tech actually bought from those pre-builds a 2080 Ti that also had a green PCB, and these things just looked so strange, like to see a high-end card, a 2080 Ti of all things, with a green PCB. It's so strange. Like, you would not put this in, like, with a water block in your main system. Like, if you have a cooler that blocks the green PCB, yeah, okay. But if you have, like, a water block where you can, like, only here is copper and you can see, like, this section, you wouldn't put this in your system. I wouldn't as well. But, like, if you're on a budget, I would love one of these cards, because there are a lot of cars outside of my house right now. Like, what I find so amazing that these things exist. It's like, if you find one of these, you can buy it, and like, let's say you get one of those Green PCB 2080 Ti's. You buy a water block for that, and you can. It's just so amazing to me that you can go out in the world and like say, I have a Green PCB 2080 Ti. No matter what card you have, if it's not a also water blocked and overclocked 2080 Ti or Titan RTX, my Green PCB super downcosted crappy card will outperform yours, whatever it is. It could be a Strix, it could be a Lightning, it could be a Aorus Extreme. It doesn't matter. That's why I love these things. Like, they are so crappy, I love them. Green PCB high-end cards, like, they are so strange, they look so odd. I love them. And the fact that this one is a pretty good card, like, with enough cooling and like hoping that the VRM doesn't blow up, this might actually do just as well as the Lightning, from just how good the core is. I think in terms of ASIC quality, this is slightly below the Lightning and the Direct CO2, but like, ASIC quality isn't everything. The result can always vary. And so at 1.15 volts, which is the max you stock get on the card, this did 950 megahertz. This is more than the Direct CO2 did. It is less than the Lightning. The Lightning did 970, but that's only 20 megahertz. And like, with a blower heatsink of all things, that doesn't even do the fan to 100% because it's locked at 85%, because just like the other, like the Zotac card, the BIOS of this is locked. Fermi BIOS editor can't read it, so I can't unlock the fan. And like, this card, okay, like the memory is pretty meh because it's Hynix and Samsung memory just wipes the floor with this. But the core, it's really good. Like, maybe someday I'll find a full cover water block for one of these cards, and then, oh man, I'm gonna do chilled water on this, because like, imagine like getting a top 10 score on HardwareBot with this card. It's like, it would be so amazing. I don't think it's gonna happen because the memory is holding it back and the VRAM would. This would need an ePower at some point, and I'm not destroying this PCB. Like, this is one of my, this is a collections piece at this point, because the thing is, this, from all I can tell, is really, really rare. So, point of view, like the maker of this card, you can see it here on the sticker. They made these cards, and I even googled like the product numbers on the PCB. They made these cards, and I found they have a TGT edition that, like, the only difference is it says like TGT in red over here on the sticker. It's still a reference PCB, but that one was a matte black one, I think. And then their normal card seems to have random colors for their PCB. So I searched online, and the most common seems to be a brown one or a glossy black one, like the normal reference NVIDIA cards from the time. I did see 2 cards with a blue PCB, and the only card I ever saw with a green one was this exact card when I found it on eBay. So now I need a blue one. Like, I'm going to collect the Infinity GTX 580s. Because I have a matte black one with the Zotac and the Direct CO2. I have a brown one with the Lightning. Now I have a green one with this. Now I would need a blue one, which I know it exists. So it's just a matter of like finding one and deciding to buy it, because like it's really unnecessary. It would just be a nice collections piece. And if there is a red one somewhere out there, I want it as well. I want all the colors for GTX, for reference GTX 580s. So yeah, so apparently point of view just took whatever color was the cheapest at the moment. So they made some in green, some in brown, some in blue, maybe some in black, depending on, I think these were made just in separate factories, and they had just that color. And yeah, so this is the only green PCB 580 that I could find. So this is really rare. This is a really, really rare card, and it looks so bizarre. And yeah, so this is a collections piece at this point. And I think I've ran SLI by now with 780 Ti's. I think I'm going to attempt to run this SLI with the Zotac one, because both of these are Hynix, so both will be around the same. This is a much better core than the Zotac one. The Zotac is my worst 580 core, I think. Yeah, that's my worst 580 core. So the Zotac card will be holding this back, even though the Zotac is modded. This is not, but yeah, that's Silicon Lottery. Yeah, and it's just like I'm putting this card up on my shelf with the back being visible, because it's green. It's a green card. I like this so much. It's just a rare and bizarre thing to see, and I like this. If I see a blue one or even a red one, I'm gonna try to get these as well, and then put up another shelf with just the GTX 580 Rainbow. And yeah, so I think that's it. The video is closing in on 20 minutes again, and it's just yeah, the stars kind of aligned, and I got this, from what I can tell, exceptionally rare card. This is harder to find than a Lightning. This might be as hard to find as was there even a Matrix for the 580? I actually don't know, but there is a Lightning Extreme for the 580 that uses the same PCB, but it comes with a black cooler and blue fans, and not a silver cooler with black fans like my normal 580 Lightning. So that one's also really rare, and I know it exists, but I've also never seen one in the wild. Or I think one I've seen in the wild, maybe. So these are some really rare cards, and yeah. I'm still gonna run this a bit. I've said, SLI. But this is a collections piece at this point. And I'm kind of happy that I have it, and I'm happy that it works, because I would have chopped this up, even though it's rare, if it was dead, because I would want my e-power, I would have some part of this in service, but that I get to keep the card as a whole makes me happy. So yeah, really odd, rare GTX 580. That's kind of I'm surprised that I made a reference 580 this exciting. But yeah, this is the point of view. Green PCB GTX 580. And yeah, the videos are long enough at this point. So thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed, and until we see each other next time. Goodbye.